So tell me about the song you just performed, Hennessy. What was going through your mind when you wrote it?
Girl, I was drinking Hennessy.
For real?
For real. It was one of those things. I was drinking Hennessy. I had just met a boo thing. And one thing we got to the next, and I wrote that song. I was just in the studio with my producer at the time, and we was just like, man, let's just write this song. This drink has got me getting hot.
I love the depth of your voice, though. It's very pretty.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I was feeling the song for real.
Thank you.
You started singing in church. How did you transition to singing R&B?
Well, I grew up listening to all types of music, so my parents were like big on funk. Like we weren't like religious like people.
You have a funky vibe, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that. You have a funky vibe.
Get that from my mama.
Yeah.
But so we were listening to like everything: Prince, Michael Jackson, Diana Ross, Parliament. So like, just from being in the church and networking with people from there, I got to move into the R&B side of life.
So how would you describe your style of music?
I would say it's very eclectic, but it has diversity. You'll hear hints of soul. You'll hear hints like regular R&B. You'll definitely hear on some of my songs, if you listen on my EP, you'll hear reggae. You'll hear like little bouts of hip hop. I would like the old reminiscent back in the In Vogue days, Stephen Folk. I like that type of music. So I wanted to create something that is good for today, but can give you that vibe of that nostalgia.
I like it. Who are some of your musical influences?
I love Diana Ross. One person I love the most is Tina Turner.
Tina Turner,
I love Tina.
Yes.
I relate to her and her stories, and I
well, now when you say you relate to her and her story,
she was in some crazy stuff.
Yeah, so that makes when you say you can relate, I sound like you've been in some crazy stuff. Now,
as a
who
woman,
was hitting on you?
As a woman, as a woman, I have been in situations that were not the best, but I'm an advocate to talk about it because women need to know,
absolutely,
especially our Black women.
Yeah,
it's never okay to be in a situation where you feel like you're trapped in any way, shape, or form, whether you're physically, emotionally, mentally, any type of way. You should always get out of it, you know what I'm saying? So I just really love the passion and the drive that Tina had, the pain that you hear when you hear her sing. Like and the way she rolling. I love that. I love her stage performance. So I definitely was a big advocate for Tina, and of course Beyonce. We got to give it up to the queen.
We are. I'm a member of the Beehive.
We got to give it up. I'm the #1 Beehive fan.
Oh, you really? Okay, all right.
Yes, yes.
You have a different background than most singers, so tell us about that.
So I was in the military. Fun fact, and I was in it for close to 10 years. Yeah.
What branch?
I did 2. I was in the Air Force, and then I went into the Army National Guard. Yeah.
I didn't even know you could do that.
You can.
You can be in all the branches.
Well, I don't know about all the branches, but you can be in at least 2 of them.
I'm interested in knowing how that works. Like, while you were like in the Navy, in the Air Force, like I'm tired of this, and then just went to another one?
No, that's not how it really works. I did my time in the Air Force, and then I got out. My mother was sick. She had breast cancer. And so I came home after that, and I just kind of took care of my family. I'm one of 8 kids, so my mom definitely needed some help, along with my dad. But I was like trying to struggle and figure out what I wanted to do. So one thing my mother and father always taught me was to, when you go into the military, make sure you can do something as a civilian. So,
oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so when I was in the Air Force, I did medical, and then when I went into the Army, I did human resources. So I always wanted to kind of like get some type of training while I was doing my music, so I can still, I like a lifestyle.
Yeah, I was like, well, what was the music at?
Yeah.
Were you able to continue to work on your music while in the military?
Definitely. Because I was around in so many different bases, I got to sing in the cities. So from doing that, I built up a little bit of a following. People got to know who I was as a performer. Yeah, and then I also have the honor of singing, change of command ceremonies for like the generals. And I was stationed at Andrews Air Force Base, so a lot of people don't know. If they do, the president flies into Andrews a lot. So, I was able to be around higher and foreign dignitaries and sing and stuff like that. So.
What do you sing when you do that type of...
God bless America, and, you know, Star Spangled Banner.
The national anthem.
For sure. Yeah.
Oh, okay. But you don't get to sing like...
Actually, you can. So in the Air Force, they have a thing that's called Tops and Blues. So that's kind of like our version of getting a record deal.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's a record label in the...
It's not a record label, but they sign you to go to different bases and you can sing. And I was actually the youngest black woman on Andrews to get into Tops and Blues.
Tops and Blues. Tops and Blues. Okay,
yeah,
all right.
I was 19 at the time. It was an amazing time. What a time.
Sounds like you enjoyed the military, though.
It has its setbacks, but, you know, I did like certain times. I had a lot of good memories. I met a lot of great people that I'm still connected with today.
And you get them benefits, too. They get good benefits in the military.
Yeah, you can get some good benefits.
I think they give good benefits.
Yeah, if you know how to do it.
Especially if you're in two branches.
Right, you know how to do
You
it,
worked with RZA.
I did.
How did that happen?
I actually ended up meeting his brother Free, and I was doing hair on the side. You know, I'm a hustler. And so I went to his house and I was doing his hair.
Look, I'm sorry, you had me laugh because when you say I was doing hair, I'm a hustler. I'm like, when I saw you, you was doing nails.
Right.
You are a hustler.
I'm a jack of all trades, sis. No, but I was at his house and in comes RZA, and I'm like, he looked familiar. I know him, like that. And then all of a sudden in my mind, I heard cash rule everything around me, scream, get the money. And I was like, that's RZA. And then he just ended up hearing my music. I played it for free one time. RZA came in. He was like, that's you? And I was like, yeah, that's me. And he was like, talk to me. And one thing led to another. I'm singing in Detroit with him and going on little tours.
Was y'all drinking Hennessy?
There was sometimes we was drinking Hennessy. Listen, that's a good drink.
Okay. You also sang background for John Legend.
I did.
What did you learn about being an artist from that experience? The
professionalism that he holds is like uncanny. The same with RZA. Mm-hmm. Very, very iconic. Two different types of vibes, but very iconic. Very like, I learned a lot as far as like stage presence and just. John was very humble. You know, he said hello to everybody. He smiled at everybody. There was never any like bad attitudes or anything from any of the people I've worked with. I did the AMAs with him, and it was just a really awesome opportunity.
What was your upbringing like?
Well, for a Swedish girl, it was different.
So what is customary of a Swedish upbringing?
Well, my mom is Swedish, blonde, blue-eyed, all of that. My father, however, is from Tunisia, and that's in North Africa. So you have Arabs mixed with French, mixed with black. It's a whole different culture and religion. Though I didn't grow up with him, I tended to search for my identity. So I hung out basically with mainly kids like me who were mixed from some part of Africa or the Caribbean or South America or even Indian. We were just tending to like cling on to each other because we look alike. We felt a little different. We felt a little outside of the Swedish customary society. You know, there's like probably a boring subject for tonight, but tons of prejudice and racism over there.
Well, I was going to ask, does that exist there? Because I wouldn't think, like when I think of the perfect place to live, it's Sweden in my mind. Like it literally is.
On paper, yeah.
So I would never think that there would be racism or prejudice in Sweden.
Well, it's a complicated situation. I don't know how much time we have, but I think it just stems from like every country has its own history, right?
Yeah.
So America is a whole entity in its own, and y'all know everything about that. But Sweden is kind of interesting because it started having immigrants come in I believe, the 70s, and they all came to work. So they came to contribute to the Swedish economy. Yet somehow they were never fully respected or brought into society with open arms because Swedish mentality is very like what you don't know of, you fear and you hold back and you're kind of closed off. And then the weather does that to you too. It's so damn cold that you just have to kind of like
close off
yourself. Right. So that kind of like made it hard for a lot of people of different origins to find their way into like feeling like Swedes. But I do think that now in the 2020s, finally, a lot of my generation have definitely started to change that through culture, through art, through music, where we used to all say like, I'm half Swedish, half this. But now like some of my friends over there are very hard on, don't say that anymore. Say you're both. You have both culture, you're doubled up. you're richer than
Oh,
them.
not I'm half. I'm Sweden
Exactly.
and
in my case, Tunisian.
Tunisian.
Right?
Oh,
But
I like that though. I like
it's
that.
a mind frame, right?
Yeah.
So rather than being half something,
I'm
you're
black
full
and
of this
white.
and you're full of that. Yeah.
Right.
Because you
Not-
learn both cultures.
Oh, girl,
Depending on
that's
where you're
good,
from,
lady.
but
Yeah, that's good right
Oh, that's
there.
not me. That's props to Eric Lundeen, one of my friends back home.
Oh, okay.
That's props to
Well,
him, not for
Eric
me.
is there. That was good.
But
That was
that
good.
mentality
I'm not-
changes things.
I'm not something and something. I'm just all black. So I wish I was something else now so I could be something and something.
Well, I'm sure if you really look at it, you have access to your roots, right?
Yeah.
And you can totally, like pull in both in the sense of like the American way of life, the African American way of life.
Okay.
And then if you go even deeper, like, there was like the homecoming where lots of people
Yeah.
came and visited various countries in Africa last year.
Well, I guess I'm African and American. Mm-hmm. African American.
Hence the name.
How did growing up in Sweden influence your music?
I think we have some of the best pop songwriters and producers, so that definitely put a strong influence on like
A lot of
popular
hip-hop
music.
there?
Nowadays, yeah, but that wasn't always like my core inspiration. My core inspiration was always R&B from over here.
How?
How?
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up with my mom playing like Barry White
Yeah.
and Donna Summer and Whitney Houston and naturally Stevie Wonder. So that's kind of where I just started to really like love and feel music from, and then mix that in with some Swedish artists, mix it in with me starting off playing violin, so I had that classical
So you play
infuses as
classical
well.
violin? You play violin as well?
I'm not as good anymore, but I was pretty good as a kid.
Oh, and what is tropical R&B? You see, I'm representing you today.
Yes, and you look gorgeous.
Tropical.
Yes,
What
you
is
are.
tropical R&B?
Tropical R&B is R&B with influences as far as like instruments or beats or sounds that have a tropical tone to it.
So like in this song that we just heard, what would be the tropical sounds?
The rhythm section, like the drums, even the bass to a certain degree.
Yeah.
The whole album pretty much was recorded in Jamaica as well. So when we recorded the songs, we were influenced by the environment we were in.
You mentioned Stevie Wonder.
Yes.
You've worked with him before?
One time I had a chance to sing background vocals.
That must
for
be
him.
nice.
That was amazing.
How does it feel to work for Stevie Wonder?
Well, you would know, wouldn't you? Yeah, it was amazing. That was a dream come true. It was it was hard to grasp at the time.
What
It
is
was a
that
few years
process
ago.
like singing back? You said background for him? What
we
is
were
that
a choir
process?
singing for him at the House Full of Toys concert.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man. Because he's like you don't know what he gonna sing. He'll have something planned, and then he'll start singing something, and you like, wait a minute, we ain't rehearsed that one.
But that's what I loved about it, because we were all singing We Are the World, and we had a choir with literally like little kids and older generations as well, because we were the world, right, representing as a choir. And
Right,
singing
right,
with
right,
him.
right.
And he would totally do that. Like halfway through the song, he would start his own little thing that we didn't rehearse at all, but naturally you just go with it. What the boss does, the rest of us do.
I know that's right. What's your process of putting a song together?
Wow, it all depends. Nowadays, it's usually just getting in the vibe. And I've learned that getting in the vibe for me means everybody else got to just back off. Like, I got to have my own time in the bathroom. I got to put myself together. I got to have some to like make me a little relaxed. And then just kind of really feel like I'm a part of the music versus I'm making music.
So do you hear the
Melody.
beat? Yeah, the melody first, and then put the lyrics to them? So
definitely.
the melody inspires you?
Yep, I always come up with melodies first, and then words sort of appear here and there, and then we sort of piece it together a lot of times.
Yeah. Who was that sexy man in the video? Because that wasn't your husband, Peter.
It was not my husband. It was a model that I hired for the job.
Oh, he is sexy. He was giving me Nipsey Hussle vibes.
Yeah.
Wasn't he though?
I think he's single. I could,
Well, it would be a problem.
Oh, I see, okay.
But we do have an agreement, ever since we moved to Cali, sometimes you got to take one for the team.
Oh,
You like it, Dad? I'm out of that one.
I wouldn't know anything about that. Nope.
No teamwork over here. What message do you want people to take away from your music, Lady L?
Class, empowerment, soothing, R&B.